Hello friends, this is Worm, and it's time for another episode of the Destiny 2 Perk Forge. This is a series where I take a look at Destiny 2 weapon perks that are weak, underused, or straight up bad, and talk about how we can potentially make them better. And today's video was inspired by a cool guy video, actually. And he was talking about Jurassic Green, and he talked about loose change. And he said that loose change is something that more or less he never really cared about, never really plans on using. And I kind of feel the same way. I don't think loose change is all that great. So let's talk about what it does and then how we can fix it. So loose change, first of all, when you apply an elemental debuff, so think things like volatility, scorch, jolt, sever, stuff like that. If you apply one of those to a target, the weapon that has loose change on it gets a plus 50 reload speed, plus 20 aim assistance, and minus 20% ADS movement speed penalty, which is a lot of things going for loose change. Like, it's not just the reload speed, and I think many people forget about the aim assistance and the movement penalty speed, and we'll talk about that in just a second, but it's providing a lot for your weapons. But why is it not really used? And the reason why, I think, is number one, is too situational. Okay, compare it to weapon perks like rapid hits, like outlaw, like feeding frenzy, you know, these other reload based perks, and you have weapons they don't have nearly as much requirements to activate them. I mean, you get a precision kill with outlaw and you get a massive reload speed boost. Like a weapon with rapid hit, you just land 5 precision shots and boom, like you've got a massive reload speed bonus. So I think that having to apply an elemental debuff, even though you can pair this with weapon perks that will do that, is just, it's really situational. So I think that, you know, one of the reasons why this is so not underused is because other reload perks are just better, but also, like, you know, with the plus 20 aim assist and the minus 20% ADS movement speed penalty. Sorry, that's a mouthful to say. Those are perks that most players don't care about in PvE. Like, most players just disregard those two perks in PvE, and they're looking at loose change as strictly a reload speed perk. So let's change that. And in order to change that, I think that we're just going to need to completely strip this perk down and start completely from scratch. So let's start removing all of these. So no more plus 50 reload speed, no more aim assistance, no more ADS movement speed penalty, none of that. Okay, let's start from the ground up. And now that we have a clean slate, I think the first thing we need to do is start by adding a auto reloading feature. Okay, because formerly, you know, we had a plus reload speed, but now we have an auto reload feature. And I was really struggling about this auto reload feature because at first I was like, well, on application of one of these elemental debuffs, that will automatically reload your weapon. But you take a perk like Volt Shot, for example, where literally the first bullet out of the magazine will jolt a target, and then so what, it reloads one magazine. No, I don't think that would fly. Even though on destabilizing rounds, that would be a fantastic perk, because the stabilizing round, you typically need a couple shots before you get the kill that will apply, you know, that debuff to other targets. So I think that to make this better, we have it auto reload on application of our elemental debuffs, but also when you kill an elementally debuffed target, you will also automatically reload the weapon. So there's two parts to this auto reload. Number one, when you apply an elemental debuff to a target, you get the auto reload. Number two, when you kill an elemental debuff target, then you get that auto reload as well. Now, one unique thing about this auto reload, and maybe I'm crazy for thinking this, and tell me in the comments what you think about it, but instead of having your standard like auto reload feature, you know, or your, like, you know, subsistence, or something like that, let's have it have the ability to basically function like a hunter dodge, where when you activate this reload ability, it will activate any reload based perks. So things like kill clip, things like volt shots, these would activate on this automatic reload. And this would be an incredibly unique perk. Like, this would be unique to only this weapon, but I think that it would build into the synergy of some of these perks, like Volt Shot. You know, I keep reverting back to Volt Shot, because Volt Shot, you shoot a target, you debuff that target, you know, you get a kill, then you have Volt Shot going because you reload, then you debuff another target, then it automatically reloads your magazine because you debuff that target, but then you kill that target, it dies, and since it dies, you now activate Volt Shot again because it auto reloads after you get the kill, and it has this new functionality where it will activate Volt Shot. Like it could lead to a loop of just never having to reload. Like you have Volt Shot up constantly, but never really having to reload. I think that would be an awesome addition to it. We'll come back and talk about that more in just a second. But I think that also, in place of the aim assistance buff, just give it a handling buff instead. Okay, aim assistance, again, is not something most players are caring much about inside PvE activities. So let's instead just give it a, plus 50 to its handling. That way it feels like a buttery smooth weapon. So, you apply an elemental debuff or you kill a target that's elementally debuffed, and then you now have a weapon that is, it's auto reloading itself, but also it just feels more smooth to use. And in terms of the minus 20 ADS movement speed penalty, I think that we just leave that off. Like if Bungie wants to throw a nice little cherry in there, they can add that back. But I think currently what we have is already working for our perks well enough. Now, I think one of the big things to talk about is the potential of this being a busted perk, so to speak, right? Because this sounds incredibly powerful on paper. Like you're able to chain Volt Shots and Scorch and volatile rounds basically infinitely, because it's constantly reloading. You don't have to worry about, oh, I gotta reload and do this and this, blah, 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 blah. Like, no, like you are just constantly going to town with these. And I think that the balancing factor for this perk is that Loose Change is a perk that's typically in the 3rd column, not in the 4th column, which means that yes, you can pair it with perks like Volt Shot or perks like Destabilizing Rounds or Incandescent, but you're sacrificing your ability to use other subclass energizing perks such as Repulsor Brace or Heal Clip or what's another one? Eddy Current or Rhyme Stealer, stuff, these perks like that, because these perks are good perks. Like these, I don't know about y'all, but Heal Clip is an S tier perk in Destiny 2. Like it's a crazy good perk. Now, if I get a solar weapon that has Incandescent and Loose Change, it's like, now I have to decide, do I want Loose Change or do I want Incandescent? Do I want Eddy Current or do I want Loose Change? And then there's that decision, like, okay, like now I have to choose between one or the other. I can't just have a weapon that does it all, so to speak. And I think that's kind of the balancing factor of this perk and of these changes that I've made. But with that being said, that's Loose Change. That's the change that I think should happen to it. I think it would make it a really unique perk. Obviously it'd be an incredibly unique perk, but I think it would give it great synergy, and it would shoot it from being a I would say probably like a C tier perk, probably immediately into the S tier category for a lot of players. But yeah, tell me your thoughts on Loose Change. Do you like my ideas? Do you think my ideas are too much? How would you personally change Loose Change? No pun intended. But yeah, tell me all that stuff in the comments. Of course, like the video, helps the channel out a lot. Subscribe for more daily Destiny content, conversations, debates, discussions, all that good stuff. And do me one more favor. Watch the videos you see on the end screen here, because for whatever reason, YouTube thinks you'll like them. You guys, I'll see y'all next time. Bye for now.